I met my boyfriend in college 8 years ago. Let's say his name is Jamie, and we met in college because we took a couple of classes together. He and I were the quintessential opposites attract kind of couple back in college. He was a party lover, tall and a total cutie with dimples and the sweetest eyes. He is an extremely outgoing and friendly person while I am an introvert. I am shorter than him, and when he pulls me in a hug, I fit right near his chest. So this is how we became friends. He was struggling in two subjects because of his pro-party lover lifestyle, and being the studious and full attendance girl, he came to for help. I was thriving in the said subjects. I was not a topper or something, but he later told me he found me really attractive and cute, and he approached me so we could break the ice and he could pass a subject or two. This will sound like a typical romantic movie, but before we got to know each other, I hated his guts, but he took it as a mission to make me fall in love with him. We met at the college library initially to help him with the course, and a few months later I gave in to his antics because he was funny as hell and kept doing cute things for me after college. We then started meeting at his house or mine, and he was such an open book too. He waited patiently for me. He would go all stiff if I hugged him while leaving sometimes. I didn't let him kiss me until 4 months into dating and didn't sleep with him till our first-year anniversary. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to before that too, but he was my first everything, and I really wanted to be sure I was giving my virginity to someone who truly loved me and was not with me just for the physical perks of being in a relationship. After a couple of months later, his grades started to improve, and he got a bit serious about his life and studies. He slowly left drinking and partying for me even though I didn't ask him to. Not once. He gave up everything that wasted his time willingly because he felt he wanted to spend time with me at home instead of partying or getting drunk. We both found a new set of friends in college with whom we have maintained contact to this day. We are like a really close-knit group and meet often. The one thing from his past that he didn't give up, though, was his childhood best friend, whom we will refer to as Max. Max and Jamie grew up together in the same neighborhood before Jamie moved to another place, but they still maintained their friendship and were the closest to each other out of all his guy friends. I don't know why, but Max always hated me. He told Jamie that I'm very hot and we make a cute couple, but I think he hates me because he feels he sees my boyfriend only a few times a month, which was almost daily earlier, and that he isn't fun anymore. I don't understand what that is supposed to mean. He openly questions our relationship in front of me and says stuff like, "You will come to your senses eventually," while talking to my boyfriend. I told Jamie I wasn't comfortable with his behavior, so since then, he never let Max around me, but they still hung out, and I really didn't mind because I trusted my boyfriend. Okay, so this is what happened recently. Max got engaged to his longtime girlfriend Bianca, who is a total college slut. I never interacted with Bianca, much as she was too loud and bossy. The reason they broke up and made up on and off was because Bianca was always flirting with other guys, and he would get mad when he found out they were sexting or sending naughty selfies to each other, but Bianca would justify it by saying it was all just for fun. So Max loved her a lot, and he didn't want to restrain her too much because she hated being controlled. Max invited Jamie and me for a party at his house to celebrate their engagement. It would have been just the four of us. The amount of people involved were kept to a minimum because of the COVID restrictions. The restrictions have been lifted in our area as long as the amount of people involved are kept to a minimum. I declined the invitation, which in retrospect was a big mistake. Jamie instantly offered to stay with me and decline as well, but I told him he didn't need to, and I would totally understand if he wanted to support Max, even though I despised the guy. Again, this was a mistake in retrospect. I should have gone with Jamie. So Jamie went to the party, and the next morning at around 6 a.m., he came home crying and in a mess. We moved in together after our 4th anniversary together. He was clearly hungover, so I didn't think much about it. Just helped him bathe and put him to bed. He slept hugging me in my lap, and soon we both fell asleep. It was the weekend, so we both could sleep in. When we woke up, he asked for coffee and then told me everything that happened at the party. I knew something was amiss because he was teary-eyed the moment he started to talk. I held his hand and gave it a squeeze, and he got more emotional. Apparently, he got really drunk at the party. I was angry for a minute, but then I realized it was an engagement party at home, and he must have wanted to have a few drinks, but he went overboard because he was happy for his friend. Also, he was drinking after a very long gap, so it kicked instantly. So Max's fiancée, Bianca, was very flirty with Jamie the whole night and helped him when he passed out. Max didn't mind because Jamie is his best buddy and he trusts him. Next thing Jamie remembers, when he woke up, he was naked and Bianca was giving him a BH. Everyone was too drunk to stop it, and Max kept watching as this was happening. Jamie told me that they're into the hot wife thing, whatever that means. Next thing Jamie remembers was waking up next to Bianca with a bunch of used condoms around him. He rushed home after that. My heart is breaking right now, and I really don't know what to do. He has been begging me for a second chance, even showing me that he blocked Max and Bianca from everywhere. He promised never to contact them again. He also swears to not drink when I am not around anymore, and that he would keep his phone unlocked and I can look through it whenever I want, no questions asked. He kept telling me how much he regrets it and how much he loves me and that I'm the only one. Sad thing is, I believe him. This man is my first everything, and I feel like my whole world is crumbling around me. A few weeks ago, we were thinking about getting married and how many kids we wanted. Now, I can't even look at him without my heart breaking into two. All of this happened a few days ago, and I've barely left the room. He is giving me space, but he is also doing the little things that make me fall for him again. He keeps the house clean. He's been cooking the food I like and leaving short love notes beside it on the dinner table. I'm so lost right now. I so desperately want to forgive him. But every time I look at him, I can't shake off the image of him being with another one. I know I was never his first, but he kept promising me I was going to be his last, and he broke that promise. Despite everything, though, deep down I still love him. I don't know where to go from here. I'm crying just typing this out because I don't have anyone to talk about this. Usually when problems this big come up in my life, he was the one I turned to for help. I love him, but I don't know if I can trust him anymore. What should I do? Will couples counseling help? Should I just cut my losses and end it? He did seem very remorseful and confessed to the whole thing immediately after. Should I give him a chance? First of all, I would like to thank you all who gave me really solid advice on my last post. A lot has happened in the last few days. Sorry, I haven't been replying to any of you. I just wasn't in the right headspace to actually hold a meaningful conversation. Rest assured, I did read all of your replies, even the really mean ones. So where do I begin? Well, I think some of you would be delighted to know that you left me for not being supportive. Sucks to be me, I guess. I guess you guys were right. I am a sucky girlfriend. Nah, just kidding, but some of you would have wanted that to happen, right? So here's what really happened. I went out of the room to get some water, and I saw Jamie staring at the TV blankly, and my heart melted. I could not bring myself to talk to him, but I went and sat beside him, and I don't know why, but I said, "I'll never break up with you." His face lightened up, and he instantly grabbed me in his arms in what felt like the longest hug ever. We both cried. He was shaking and so happy to know I was not going anywhere. Remember when I said I felt my world was crumbling around me? Well, for the first time in forever, I could feel it starting to fall back in place. I didn't realize how a simple embrace could be so calming on the worst days and in the most terrible situations. We had been crying for days, and the thought of being away from each other was worse than the thought of him cheating on me. He told me he was very sorry he cheated on me and he would go NC with Max forever. Bianca was out of the question. I told him I didn't think he cheated on me, and his face looked puzzled. So I told him we both were using the term cheated because that's what he told me initially when he confessed about whatever he remembered about the night. It was rape. I tried to explain. I guess he still doesn't realize that he was taken advantage of. I asked him if he consented to the sex, and he said he wasn't even in his senses. Bianca had raped my boyfriend, who was in an inebriated state and could have possibly passed on some sort of STD to him because of the number of dudes she sleeps around with. I encouraged him to report Max and his girlfriend to the police, but he told me it would ruin years of friendship as basically everyone in their families is connected to each other. Their moms are best friends, their dads are business partners, and their siblings are good friends too. I told him that I never wanted him anywhere near them again, and he agreed. I've always thought Max was a bad influence, but I never thought he would take it this far, so I never stopped him from seeing him. I never imagined he would use his best friend for life to play out some fetish which he had along with his shitty girlfriend. He said going NC would be enough for him because he wouldn't be able to tell the cops whatever happened. He was ashamed and embarrassed, and his first thought was about losing me, even though he was the one whose body was compromised. Max kept calling him after the incident to apologize and that it was all a mistake and they got too drunk and carried away, but Jamie is done with him. This man, after being raped, first thought of how much he betrayed me instead of how he was betrayed himself. I was floored. He said he was so afraid of losing me it was killing him. He said he had to win me back, which is why he had been going the extra mile the last few days taking care of me from a distance. When it was my turn to speak, I told him how sorry I was for not being supportive. I jumped to conclusions without actually thinking about it clearly, which was pretty out of character for me. We both realized we couldn't live happily without each other, and some of you even pointed out that we are soulmates. I like to believe that we are. This full ugly episode got us even closer and made us value each other more. We are still shaken by it, and we're soon going for individual as well as couples therapy. Before that, we will go and get Jamie tested for any nasty STDs. I hope that bitch didn't give anything to my sweetheart. We both came to the conclusion that this was Max's way of cutting me out of his life forever, but instead the opposite happened. We have come closer than before. Of course, the images of that night come up randomly, and I wish it didn't happen at all, but it did, and it helped us realize who were our true friends.